goes well. You also see his foot soldiers coming out in defense with him, and then you ask yourself, do they have sessions where they agree that, if they strike, we have you on standby to come and defend? And sometimes we ask ourselves, why is it that we do this, yet the very two people or the individuals that are being spoken about or of are just there also laughing and smiling at each other and reminding you that actually we are better than that.
Thanks, leader. Okay, I was hoping you'll play the Kisii Barrio clip.
Actually,
Madam Director, I hope you work on that. It's a very beautiful thing.
The fight itself.
It's very captivating
because,
too.
Number one, I want to salute the people of Kisii because they did not interfere with the fight. That's what we need in Kenya.
Silvanus expected that they're going to come.
Yes,
you were there. Why didn't you interfere?
Osolo and Arati, let them fight.
Yes.
If Kenyans move that way, if a politician calls me, give me 1,000 to go and incite or fight, I take the 1,000. That's what the president meant. Take that 1,000, go home. So yakitaka vita, waende wapigane. Looking at it from where we've come, Kenya gained independence through an armed struggle. And these armed struggles were multi-ethical. Mau Mau, the Karenjins, the Luos, everybody fought for independence using their own ethnic warriors. So we've moved this nation that way. And the theme of the BBI report is from a nation of blood ties to a nation of ideas. Because where we've moved from, where we've come from as a nation, it was through feast that we got independence. It was through feast that we got multi-party. It was through feast that we got, we would say, a contemporary constitution that we have today. So everything has been through the feast. So can we move now from that to this? That's what would help us grow. And one thing that we will accept is internet has helped us close on that gap completely. Because other social tools that could have helped us grow, churches and football and all that, they still remained multi-ethical in one or another. Now you go to Western and you find there, you go to Central, it's more so Catholic, PCA, Anglican. Now you go to Western, the Aquilinos and the rest. So, but now the internet, I'm able to communicate with someone who's in Kericho who I've never met. So it has really helped us close on that gap.
All right. I don't know whether we have really made these strides that Goko speak of, but as Mheshimiwa, looking at what happened in Kisii and what it is that Goko brings on board in terms of the fact that the common mwananchi is now getting to that point where, they'll leave it for you to fight for yourself. What does it make you feel as a politician? Because in most cases, even with devolution, we've said we have created demigods, we've created militias with the governors, and you have seen it before. We started by saying that, it was a surprise that upon that impeachment declaration, you could not see Nairobians in the streets. I mean, have we matured to that level, and does it make you feel bad as politicians?
Linda, the biggest player to Kenyans is one. Our leaders must cease completely from trying to keep bringing up issues to do with tribalism. Tribalizing the country every other day is a big insult to the nation. The nation is supposed to be every other day coming out of those tribalisms and uniting as a nation, forging together as a nation. But when our daily talk is how do we bring a grand coalition of certain number of tribes together so that we garner the leadership of the country, I hope that is not the direction to go. It is good that actually it is not criminal when you bring a variation of a number of grand coalition of tribes together and make a win. That's okay because democratically it has no query in our constitution. But our tongues as politicians matters a lot because we are the one who incites the public to the elections of taking nasty news. And let me tell you, Kenyans are one, and they are only divided by politicians. Just watch, after election, and when the nation comes down, nobody cares to take his vehicle to a road mechanic. Nobody, a Kikuyu does not care to take, because in this alliance, there are those people who are expert on their line. And maybe in one example, I am a transporter. And let me tell you, if there are people who are capable in doing what we call a welding job and what we call mechanic jobs, you can get this from rural fellows. Then you must look for them, because they are the people who can fix you. Then tells you, once we forget, we come out of elections, we forget everything and we join hands together to build the nation without caring those tribal lines. How do we kill these elements during our politics, our trials of what we call electioneering? Because that's where we go wrong.
We have been alive to witness the intolerance, that is, of course, in 2007 and 2017. And I said I have a lot of, historic moments where such, occurrences played out. But we go ahead and justify this and say, you know what, this happened in the world's biggest democracy in America just the other day. We go ahead to just proceed and, listen to these leaders at a time when we've been cautioned on COVID-19. And we do not just listen to them, we proceed to cause chaos for that matter. When you look at such occurrences, and also as you get to react to what it is that played out in Kisii, does it then show all signs of a nation that is spiraling towards violence?
I hope not. I want to be very optimistic that every time Kenyans learn, and I'm glad that in Kisii it was my two brothers, my very good friend Osoro and Simbarati, who took it upon themselves. And the reason why I'm saying I'm glad is that at least it was not the ordinary Mwananchi who were fighting. And I'm hoping that next time we can see even two governors trying to square it out, so that then at the end of the day, we remove this culture of people fighting at the bottom, so that at the top also they can be able to fight. Just before I get it, there's something very crucial that Mheshimiwa said, that when you go to the shop, Linda, to buy milk, you don't question the tribe of the person selling you the milk. When you probably go into a market, you want to buy fresh produce, you don't tell that person, hey, are you a Luya? No, I'm not a Luya, then I'm not buying from you. We don't have those, you don't even care who your next door neighbor is, as long as you guys are living harmoniously and peacefully. Now, where the problem comes, the problem is we seated on this table, including you.
Right.
That is when we start now saying, oh, the Mulebe consciousness, I don't know, the Gusi unity, oh, the Kikuyu Sagana 1, 2, 3, 4, and all that.
But just how can we speak about that? Because we pride in our tribes.
Of course, we pride in our tribe.
Yes.
And the tribe is supposed to be, it's a source of identity. And being a source of identity, we are supposed to be proud of it rather than using it as a separation mechanism. So that then you don't start saying that, hey, Kikuyus love this and this, Kisis love this and this, and use it as a separation. Look, when you take your kid to school, you don't care that the teacher is from which tribe. You just take them there. But when we sit on this particular tribe, that is when we start now fueling some kind of lack of cohesion and saying, hey, Kikuyus did this and this, Luyas did this and this. So the people actually are the people in the controlling class. Let's say the politics and the media and all that. We are the people who bring these divisions to the people. And I hope that if you listen to the Deputy President very well and the President very well, there is a keen interest in nobody should use our youth. The same youth who the President said do not wheelbarrows. And I agree.
Right.
We need jobs. But then the president appears like he has just come from somewhere else. He doesn't know what is going in the country.
Okay.
Yeah, so my point is that the biggest problem we have is the youth bulge. The people who are shouting in Kisii were not my father, my mother, my grandmother, but they were my brothers and my cousins who don't have jobs. Linda, your cameraman person here, will not leave the studio and go to BAMBA or go to Githurai to shout. It's only a person who is jobless, who needs some 500 shillings to eat at the end of the day, who will go out and keep on shouting. So there is a very interesting thing that the two of them said, the youth issue. But what has the president or the presidency done to ensure that the youth issue is dealt with?
And now the
same government
yes.
that gave Mudia Wori a job, the same government that gave Masden Badoka, the same government that gave Mary Wambui and the likes. Not that they are not qualified. But
and remember what President said. During the appointment of Mudia Wori, President went to the record and said, Jews are there, But you can't trust them.
Right.
That was
I mean, sure, is he saying that he doesn't trust his own children? The Governor Nyamira right now said a couple of weeks ago when he was appointing his cabinet that you see young people, you don't have enough brains, you just wait, I'll give you some small
But is it
jobs.
not true?
Linda, did you go to school?
All right, I did.
And I know you can even
I
be
can
a
handle that,
policymaker.
yes.
Why will you get your grandmother to do a job that you did? Why did you go to school?
Goko.
I would add to what Wakili is saying, and I'll add that the same president who gave Mudiawori, the same president who gave Zach, the same president who gave Anne, the same president who appointed Wabui Nyoto as a commissioner, the same president who appointed Dan Mwangi, my friend, as the CEO BBI steering committee, and among many others. The same president who supported Koril for MP Rangata, same president who nominated Mwaura. So let's look at the ratio, because what we should own up is, if we move that way, what we should own up is, behind the scene, there's a seasoned producer or technician who is helping you and the others to learn the trick on the game. I've been a serious youth advocate since I joined being a youth, from the local village where the CDF of those days would appoint a 70-year-old man as a youth rep because there was no law protecting them. They just needed someone to say, I'm here to represent the interest of the youth. To today, whereby the Sagana meeting on Sunday, I was involved. Strictly was 35 and below. No matter how good you are, it was 35 and below. So, I saw the same happen in Mombasa. The youth, the president met youth 100%. If we say unemployment is what is causing the political intolerance, Mheshimiwa here will agree with me. I vied. Mheshimiwa is in National Assembly today. The most handout seekers today are the employed.
Oh yeah.
I would go to the village, meet jobless youth, and we would reason together with them.
Okay,
but the moment I get to Nairobi, and you sit with your colleagues and friends who are driving,
they're thinking of
they
how they're
expect you
going
to pay their
money.
beer. They expect you to pay their bills.
Well, that's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. I'm going to come into you as you get
It was so funny. It was so funny. So as we move the youth agenda, I want as many youths as possible in job, because everybody wants to start earning. I also want a better job. I want a good job. But if we do not look at the progress, if we do not look at how far we have come from to where we are, then we cannot get a solution to where we want to go.
And speaking of which, well, these few appointments that we speak of that have been taken by the oldies yet are supposed to genuinely be for the youths are probably not so much that would come in handy to address the question of unemployment that we witness today. And so when we speak of youths being vulnerable to these politicians, to these handouts and so to speak, does it then mean that we are fighting a losing battle when we speak of shunning intolerance?
I'm glad that my brother here, Goko, seems like he has the ears in the big offices.
Okay.
And I would like to send you with this message that if indeed we want to have the youth problem solved, number one, there has been an accusation that youth do not have experience, do not have what? And you can only get experience if you're introduced into that kind of spectrum. Today, if Zach Kinuthia and Anne Nyaga were to be given cabinet positions, you will agree with me that they now have information or rather knowledge on how a government works.
Yeah.
But why don't we do more of that? In a country where 70% or so are young people, why then do we have the people who are more getting employed being old people? For me, I have that problem. I agree that today if you pick me and make me the CS Treasury, I'll not be able to perform. If today you pick me and take me as the PS Transport, I'll not be able to perform. We don't have a mechanism of ensuring that these young people get introduced into even those boards, so that then at the end of the day, they're able to mentor their others. I mean, what we do is, like right now, you have a board where you have only oldies, and when we say, hey, introduce the young people, you'll be like, no, they'll not be able to perform. Why didn't you introduce them from the word go?
Yeah.
Today, Linda, if you want somebody to take over from you, then you have to mentor. One of the worst performing people in mentorship are the senior government officials. They don't want to hear anything to do with young people. So
But
we
you've
have
seen
a problem.
Mheshimiwa getting surprised when the young man tells him that he's going to succeed him. And instead of saying, yeah, come, let me mentor.
Just a minute.
Yes.
What my tell the president, we have young people who are qualified and who can do
the
those
problem
jobs.
is, okay, let me say, what Wakili is saying is that, which have been there, we are looking at 18 cabinet secretaries.
How many young people?
Vis-a-vis 18,000 teachers. So the population among the youth who are getting employed in government is in the ratio of 1 to 10, 9 are youths. When you look at nurses being hired, we can look at the data, from the NMS alone. They had 600 nurses. I would love to know how many were above 40 years. They hired drivers, they had technicians. Right now on this newspaper, they have advertised for 4,000 police. None is above 26 years. But just because I, Irungu, and you, my friend Wakili, we are overqualified for these jobs, so we do not lobby for them.
Yeah.
Neither do we appreciate them. So I want to go, personally, I want to go up, PS, CS, directors and all that. So I will lobby for that, and I'll use that as an excuse. Then I will use the youth unemployment as an excuse for me to lobby for that job.
Okay.
But if you look at it systematically, if you look at this newspaper, the number of jobs that have been advertised, 90% of them goes to youth. So when we go up, and the mentorship start from somewhere, like you have agreed, you are not yet ripe for a CS. I believe I am.
Then why don't you get the job?
Because
and yet you were in Sagana. Please get the job as
because it is a process. It is a process.
Okay.
It's a process to get there. And we as young people, we must admit it's a process. When the president made
this process
the appointment
incorporate nurturing the youth for that, because, well,
when
that
the president made the appointment of the
concern.
CAS, he said, nimewapatia kazi, musome kazi, ndio next time mchukue hizo makazi.
I think Mheshimiwa needs to
okay, Mheshimiwa, as you come in, I mean, we're talking solutions right now because we're almost winding up, and I think it is necessary that we have some of these solutions so that when we talk of a scenario where we're going to root out intolerance in totality, then at least we have bases that would complement and support that.
Linda, a good government is a government that takes care of motivating and empowering.
Has this government done that?
Here, what we are lacking, and the reason why we have a gap between the levels of those who have and have not, is because surely there is a lot of resources that are not harnessed, that actually, or opportunities that are harnessed. Our youth, surely, we need to consider that actually every year we have a candidate that leaves from university, colleges, getting to what we call the market, the national market. These people, there is no any preparation anywhere. The government doing very, very little in terms of creating rooms to adopt those people coming out of those.
Wait a minute. So just what is our education doing? Because that is also one thing that we need to discuss. When we speak of preparation, is this not something that should be done at the level of the education, process, or this is something that should be done after education?
Later,
just what happens? Is it because?
Can I tell you something?
We have not.
Where we are losing is that this country, we have. It's a country with a lot of skills and the best skills, and I can tell you, our people migrate from here to go and actualize their skills elsewhere. Okay. Because here the skills are of no use. I don't think that at this age, why do we import smartphones from outside the country? Why do we keep on importing TVs from outside the country? Why do you, where we have people here with skills, and there's one area of manufacturer where we have what we call motor vehicle manufacturer at Thika. That particular assembly is a clear indication that we can do more. Why can't we do this partnership on those mega manufacturers outside, instead of every day walking out there, getting what we call electronic from outside and everything else there, bring these people there, give them conducive environment, let them have their industries here. Being here, we will just create what we call environment for new jobs. But when we always keep on moving out, importing these things that are out there, and we are not turning this country to what we call domestic kind of a product. We compare now, there is juakari. Our juakari is like forgotten. We are not really marketing juakari things in our local industry, in our local consumption. Then we feel, who will do this if we are not doing that? Well, and let me tell you, yes, our product is like, we have made Kenyans to believe that our local products are not genuine. Mm-hmm. And they have to depend with anything that which is made in India, no, made in either made in England, made in America, or elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Where at what point shall we agree to adopt our local product? I
don't know whether I would be justified or anybody would be justified to counter what it is that Mheshimiwa speaks of, Areba. I mean, we probably have had a chance to go out, and we've had friends who have probably gone to settle abroad. And in most cases, while their skills are tapped into, they would go there, but they have to go through, a learning process again, say for a year or two, to just add flesh to what it is that they have. Do you suppose then we should have an approach where we start from the level of education? Is the incorporation of the competence-based curricula something that we look at as positive because it's supposed to enhance the skills of the students? And, we probably look at a future that is going to be different and will make use of the talent that we have on board, of the creativity that we have on board, and technically what it is that we have as a people.
I think first of all we need to change our attitudes.
Okay.
If today your daughter comes home and tells you she wants to be a singer, okay, probably you might agree because you have been exposed. But if the years when I was going to high school, I would come back and say I want to be a footballer, that is the day I'll be beaten.
Yes.
We still have parents there who you say I'm a comedian, they're like, and even you yourself,
yes,
you have relatives who are asking you, why don't you have a job? Right. Your work is just talking. They don't know that this is a job. So we need to start changing that attitude, first of all, that even in terms of skills, in terms of talent, there are people who earn more. Whatever we earn in a month, they will earn it in a night through their skills and through their talent. We need, first of all, to change that attitude. Then number two, we need to revolutionize our education system. You can see what has been going in the education sector, some kind of drama and videos, because we try to implement something that we have not really thought through it. I fully support the competency-based curriculum. But then what happened with ensuring that the trainers themselves have the necessary skills and capacity to take learners through that? What about the infrastructure? We see every day that the infrastructure in schools is in a very sorry state. So unless we are able to settle those teething issues of infrastructure skills in the people who are supposed to impart skills and knowledge to the young ones, then we might not be able to really to go far. And that is why if you look at some of these private schools, they charge an arm and a leg, because you realize that children are exposed to issues of skills. Some play golf, some, I don't know, they do horse riding, some they do some things. If you tell my grandfather, he will be like, is that what you do in school? You don't go to learn, you are just joking. But it's something that is meant to open up the learners to other alternative means of getting jobs and be able to earning a living. So we need to revolutionize our education system because we don't have enough yet in terms of skills and in terms of infrastructure to be able to support all that. How do you tell a student in Malinya Primary School to train to be a swimmer when all they know is River Isiho?
All right. Well, that's an interesting one. And anyway, as we come to a close, we still seek a solution. So in 1 minute, Goko, you have mentioned these crucial things, the fact that the clergy, is torn in two. I mean, the people we all probably looked up to in terms of getting solutions into this. We spoke of a scenario where the media has been compromised. We've talked of a scenario where, there's so much propaganda that is moving around. The fact that handouts are even being asked for by the, middle class, or so to speak. So how do we get ourselves from this hook of intolerance? Because yes, we are headed to a period where, politics will be charged. And if we do not control this well, then I'm afraid we do not get it right.
Wow, thank you. Let me close on what Nawakili said about education. I've just read a text somewhere that from my home county, Karumad High School, is on fire, and some 5 students have been arrested.
All right.
I want to plead with the students. Our days, we used to strike. Not that we didn't have issues too.
As we proceed, where do you think is the
Problem.
Is the problem? Yeah, that's what I want to mean. Yeah.
What is this poison?
Yes. So the poison, let me first tell them, when our days we used to strike, there are things that we never used to do. We never used to put cost on parents. So we never used to touch any building. So if the issue was a teacher, we deal with the teacher.
Yes.
If the issue was the head teacher, we deal with the head teacher. If the issue is cook, we deal with the cook, but not touching anything. And that's how I would, I want to commend former Senator Mheshimiwa Karava, who was my head teacher. Mheshimiwa Karava gave you an open door policy. Come tell me what the problem. Let's talk as father son. I think that is lacking with the with the school administrations today. What another indicator is when a student sees a politician rioting and leading strikes, how do you expect him to learn? This is a teacher who learns. On clergy, to conclude, let me say it's very clear, the church, the religious institution have been the voice of reason and a source of good morals. They have to go back to that. Voice of reason and source of good morals. The likes of Akina Joya, the likes of Akina Mulinge, the likes of Akina Getari, they were source of voice of reason. So if the church doesn't go there, they are leading us to a grave that one day the number of people going to church. Today, if you do a simple random survey, 10 people who used to go to church 10 years ago, ask them if they are going to church today, you'll find more than half are not going. So if they do not change, they'll end up preaching to themselves.
All right, and in 30 seconds, Mheshimiwa, we have institutions like the NCIC, government institutions that are channeled to address this animosity and, guarantee, the citizens that a peaceful coexistence. Do you suppose with what we witness today, the government has failed? Do we lack capacity to tame intolerance?
One is that I would lead very quickly say, we need to check on how we brought up our children, because you can only be able to straighten a tree when it is young, but when it grows older, it is and that bent is there. It is very hard for you to straighten that bent. And in this particular case, I would say, parents number one have left their job of making sure that they nurture and train their children on the way and how for them to be good men and women of tomorrow. My panelists have also talked about the clergy. The clergy has an area to operate on.
Yeah.
They are the people to give good morals to these young children. And once these good morals are not instilled at early stage, you cannot instill this when he's 20, 30 years.
All right.
It will be difficult. Then coach these children as he's coming up, give them those good morals as he's young, so that he can know exactly what is expected even when he grows up. But we have forgotten this, and we have raised our children in the care of teachers, and teachers are everything. That's where we are going wrong. We must know there is an area for the teachers, there is an area for the parents, and there is an area for the community to train their children to become good products of tomorrow.
Well, thank you. Areba, how do we get Kenyans to question early politicking of patronage, and how do we get ourselves to that political season without having to compromise our peace?
Okay, very briefly, I think Kenyans need to learn more on the art of that when you elect somebody into a leadership position, they have a higher responsibility of not giving handouts or calling you for a tribal meeting or giving you some handouts, but rather delivering on the reason why you voted for them. If you look at the core of leadership is that when I bring myself into to try and run for office, is that I'm giving you a reason why you should elect me. And during the subsistence of my term, then you need to question what I brought you, what I offered in terms of the manifesto. And at the end of it, if you find that I'm performing as you wished, then you can renew my term. If you find that I'm not performing as you planned, then you can drop me. Also in the midterm, we have midterm kind of checks and balances which can be able to be used on a leader. And that is very key thing that the people have not learned. We think that when we elect Mheshimiwa here, we elect him to give us 50 bobs or 100 bobs. In that when we stop him somewhere on Mombasa Road, all we want are 100 bobs or t-shirts. No. There's a higher calling to leadership than all these issues that are happening. Then I can't leave the set without talking about the young people. Because we all are passing through them. And we'll be out of that phase. But I feel that the current setup of leadership has not really taken a keen interest of young people. There is no reason why we take our children to schools and nurture them. Then at the end of the day, we don't have reason to empower them. He said something about the nurses and the askaris all being young people. But how many people do we have where it matters to drive policy and in leadership positions? An askari somewhere in Marsabit cannot be able to drive policy. So we need more and more young people on leadership positions and on a policy making level because they are more energetic and more innovative. Mzee Nyachae, may God rest his soul in peace, did not know WhatsApp existed. But right now we're having more modern ways of communicating and driving change. So that is where we need more people, young people to be precise on the leadership level and the policy driving level.
Areba Omoyo, Advocate of the High Court, thank you so much. Honorable James Gakuya, Member of Parliament in Embakasi North, thank you so much. And Governance Expert Irungu Goko, it was good having you. Thank you for the great insights as we look forward to have more and more of these conversations. Remember, it is incumbent upon you to maintain that peace. It starts with you before it gets to the level of the government. So why don't you embrace the same? We take a short break, we come back with a different conversation altogether, and we go all the way to where the values culminate from at home, domestic violence, after this.